We are here with Sarah Bonnici, who will represent Malta at Eurovision with Loop. Sarah, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. We just wanted to start off by asking what your relationship to Eurovision was growing up. When did you start watching the contest?
So I actually do not recall an exact time when I started watching Eurovision, because I always remember myself as a young kid watching Eurovision. As a family, it was always a yearly event. We all get together, we watch Eurovision, and we try to predict who's going to make it through or not. So now that I am actually one of the competing artists, it's actually insane, incredible.
Who were your idols growing up? Who were the artists that inspired you?
I think Helena Paparizou, with her entry in Eurovision, was actually one of them. I always imagine myself doing Eurovision and doing it with a sort of choreo-based song like Loop and like obviously her song back then. So I think she was a great inspiration. But growing up, I used to love watching Jennifer Lopez. And that can also, I think, be seen from Loop, because it's sort of heavily influenced as well from her. But not only, I love Beyonce. And recently, I'm also very much into Dua Lipa. I really like her new style and the direction she's heading.
How did you come to music growing up? And when was it that you knew that you wanted to be a performer?
It always came very, very natural to me. I have photos of myself, like 3 years of age, where I was like with the mic singing at home. So it was something which I was always passionate about and which came like really natural to me. Also, my mom sings and plays the guitar. My dad plays the piano. My uncle plays the guitar and sings. My other uncle plays the bass. So we're a very musical family. And growing up, we're always putting up these, even with my cousins, these small shows to our family. So like music has always been like a very, very important part of my life. There was never a particular time where I knew I want to become an artist, a singer, a performer.
You also have a master's in accounting. So can you talk about that decision and how you balance that with your music career?
So I always wanted to do music. I worked as an accountant for 2 years. There was a time where I was trying to juggle accounting and also music, which, in all honesty, was not easy. As a person, I like to try to give my 100% in everything I do. This is why then I decided to choose and focus on what really matters and what I am really and truly deep inside passionate about, which is definitely music.
You were mentored by Miriam Christine, who Eurovision fans will know from 1996 In a Singer's Heart. So can you talk about that relationship and what you learned from her?
Yes, she was my first vocal coach, and she was the first person that actually pushed me to start actually singing. I started choir lessons with Miriam Christine, so I was part of her choir. And then she had encouraged my mom, sort of told her that maybe I should start taking singing lessons individually. And that's what I did. And I was mentored by her for quite a long time. I did Junior Eurovision as well under her direction. And she was always a great inspiration and a great mentor.
You competed in Malta's Junior Eurovision twice. And you actually went to Junior Eurovision as part of Malta's act in 2010.
They were amazing experiences. The first experience when I competed in Malta, I came third back then with the Mambo song. And it was such a big thing for me. I had only started singing like a few months before. So that was like insane at that age. Then the year after I competed again and ended up as well going to Belarus with the Maltese delegation with Nicola Zopardi as a backup singer and dancer, which was an amazing experience. I recall having parties every day, and as a young kid, we used to love that and feeling like a superstar at the age of 11.
You've performed in a ton of competitions, the Trixie Festival in Bulgaria, the Carpathian Star Festival in Romania, the Stars Born Festival in Hungary, Te Amo Festival in Romania. So a lot of these contests were outside of Malta.
When you go abroad, you meet new people, you experience a different sort of competition. I always struggled with sort of self-belief, and I always found it hard sort of to push myself and believe in myself. So experiences like these, I think growing up gave me the confidence that I needed to make it to where I am.
And then you were also on X Factor.
I was an X Factor as part of a group. It was a great experience. You make new connections, you learn a lot. you make mistakes and learn from your mistakes. And that's also really sort of pushed me as well outside my comfort zone because it was my first experience in a group.
You released Bandwagon, which has a Amy Winehouse sound. Then you followed up with Breathe Your Love and Ilpina, which was your only non-English release. Can you talk about those three songs and how they came about? And also, as a multilingual songwriter and performer, how do you decide on the language of the song? How do you come to that?
Yes, I think those three songs were actually part of my journey to discovering as well myself as an artist. Bandwagon holds a very close place to my heart. I wrote it together with my vocal coach, Pamela Verzina. Then Breathe Your Love was a release, which I wrote with Kevin Borch and Simon Grip. And then Ilpina as well was a Maltese song which I wrote myself together with Emil and Mark for a local competition, which we ended up winning. I was still finding myself and exploring sort of my sound. But how I decide about the language and all of that, I love my language. I love Maltese and I love writing in Maltese and creating music in Maltese. And when it comes to Eurovision, however, with the vision I had in mind for the entry this year, I decided to go for a song in English. However, I really hope that one day maybe someone from Malta represents the country with a song in Maltese, because I think that our language is very special and it's a language to just a few people. So very, very special.
Never Ever comes out in 2023 and marks a departure musically. It's dancier, a bit more clubby, kind of a preview of Loop in a way. Can you talk about that shift?
Yes, I think Never Ever was the start of who I am as an artist, because I was very much involved in the songwriting. I wrote it with Sean Farrugia. It's sort of a stepping stone to Loop. Not the same style, but in the same direction. And like even brand-wise and image-wise when it comes to that. I think Never Ever also really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. It was actually my first experience doing a music video and my first experience working with the producer and the songwriter on the song. I started working with a sort of different team. So for me, it was the start of a new era, so to speak.
Turning to Eurovision in the national final, in 2022, you competed with Heaven.
You bring me heaven on time. You put me at 200 degrees, boy.
I was very much involved in the songwriting of Loop. I'm actually one of the songwriters. I always had my vision in mind throughout and what I wanted from Loop, and sort of led that and directed that to make sure that we have what I am envisioning. Heaven was slightly different. I worked with Aiden, but the song was presented to me. So it's a totally different process, even when it comes to just the songwriting. So even like style-wise and my artistic persona was different.
You touched on the songwriting of Loop. It came out of a songwriting session, right?
Yeah, it came out of a songwriting session, a very relaxed and unplanned, without expectations songwriting session in London. It was with Atticus and Lay and Kevin Lee. It was targeted towards Eurovision, but as I said, I had no expectations whatsoever, just for fun. Still, I had this vision in mind of what I wanted to do. And we actually wrote like a skeleton, a vase of Loop. It was not the only songwriting session that I was doing at the time, but then I ended up choosing Loop. I went back to Malta, worked further on the production with Nicky Magon, and then just a few minutes before the deadline, I was not even sure if I'm going to submit the song or not. I was at a wedding, and yes, just 15 minutes before the deadline, I went in my car. I had everything ready, just needed to press submit, and I was like doubting myself, saying, should I do this, should I not, is it good enough? But the usual sort of overthinking. I'm a huge overthinker, and then I said, yes, I think I need to trust my gut and I'm gonna do it. And I did it and ended up winning the whole thing. Then obviously I worked on the revamp with Linnea Deb and Joy Deb as well, so they obviously joined forces. The songwriting, I also worked with John Emil and also Matthew James Borch. And we have a whole list of songwriters involved in Loop, international songwriters.
Eurovision fans will be familiar with Joy and Linnea Deb's work. Mons Zelmerlow's Heroes, Sarah Alto's Monsters, Senhit's Adrenalina. And actually also this year they were on Marcus and Martinez's Unforgettable. What was it like working with them?
After winning the national final, we tried to see, how we can sort of improve the product that we already had. We thought Joy could be the ideal producer to work on the revamp. And obviously with Linnea's help, and I went to Sweden and we worked on the revamp. I wanted to improve the quality of the production and also do some minor changes which improve the song. I listened to certain constructive criticism and I did those minor changes, like slightly amending the lyrics to make them more easy for the listener to understand and changing a bit the hook. And that was basically the approach. But it was lovely working with the Debs. Linnea is a really positive, fun person, and Joy is an extremely creative and talented human being.
Going back to the national finals performance, the choreography is so striking. Can you talk about your relationship to dance, and was it important to you that the number be athletic like that?
It was definitely challenging. I started dancing at the age of 4, but had stopped dancing for 5 years before Eurovision. But it was always sort of my vision to present something which no one had ever presented before. And it was always my dream. As I told you, ever since I saw Helena Paparizou's number way back in Eurovision, I said, this is what I want to do. Even like from inspirations from Jennifer Lopez and Beyonce growing up, that's exactly what I wanted to do in the choreography. Obviously, it was challenging. It requires a lot of training and stamina. And obviously, I need to make sure that I'm breathing properly and a lot of training, singing and dancing, running on the treadmill and singing. So it's a lot.
Everyone who goes to the same gym as you got to see the performance of Loop.
Exactly.
What was the experience like of the national final? And what was that feeling like when you found out that you won?
It was insane. I was an underdog. So for me, it was a huge surprise. I couldn't believe it. I was like without words. And if you see my reaction, I was a bit sort of lost and sort of not knowing what had just happened. And it took me a while,
As Malmo is approaching, what have the preparations been like?
I didn't stop since the national final. Obviously, the performance in Malmo is just the end of it all. In reality, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. So when it comes to rehearsing, preparing myself vocally, training, physically to make sure that I am fit to go on stage, and outfits and all of those preparations relating to the performance. And then obviously certain obligations required by EBU, other appearances on TVs. It is quite hectic. Like, I'm all the time busy and not stopping. As you can see, I'm in the middle of the road right now from one thing to another, trying to slot in things and waste as little time as possible. But it's been great. I feel so grateful to be given this opportunity to represent my country, to perform on such a big stage and do this, literally.
Wrapping up, what are you most looking forward to about performing on the Eurovision stage? What's the thing that has you most nervous?
I think the most nervous is the fact that I'm opening the show. That is sort of nerve-wracking, but very exciting at the same time. I was so happy that we were chosen to open the show, because opening obviously such a great show is insane, and I feel a certain sense of responsibility though, and I am nervous, not gonna lie. But what I'm most excited about, I think, is just going on the stage and singing my heart out and performing. Music is my life, it's my passion, and being able to share my music and perform to such big audiences was always my dream. And now that I have the opportunity to do it, so I really cannot wait to go on the stage and perform for all of you.
Amazing. And we look forward to seeing it as well. We're going to be in Malmo.
All the mysteries of the Euro.